All right, thank you, Peter. Let's continue. You told me about smuggling Bibles. What was that like?
Oh, this was also incredible experience for me. Not far from here, from Beirut, he was a man. His name is Trajan Dors, from Orthodox country, from Lord's Army, leader of the Lord's Army. He spent about 17 years in prison. In beginning of 1980s, he was involved in kind of smuggled Bibles or something. He was sentenced again. And he told me how hard was, most difficult time in the prison was this one. Very difficult time for him in prison. For doing,
in the 80s.
Yeah. So when two pastors came to me and asked me if I can use my car and to drive to go to Brother Andrew in Sibiu, they asked me if we can go there to pick up Bibles, Christian literature, and to bring them to Beirut, and from here to spread to other people. That's happened all over Romania. And this was not easy task. Some people have been killed for that. Some people have been jailed and prison for that. And now you look at this pastor, when they ask you to do this or to ask to join them, I follow their advice. So we went in the evening, left my house. There was one pastor from Oradea, one pastor from Beirut. Usually in Romania, in that time, he has been asked from militia, many times has been stopped by militiamen. They ask you, where are you going? Before midnight, we arrived in Sibiu, Brother Andrew's house. Stayed there, spent the night there. Early in the morning, we came back with my car, and I was packed with Christian literature. And you saw how the car looks like. I mean, like a boat, so many Christian literature and Bible. So I came back with one of the pastors. And we crossed several villages. We arrived in a town called Brad. And I remember a militiaman came in front of us, and he looked at the car, he looked at us, and he was looking around, where are you going, from where you come from, so on, question and question. Imagine how I pray in that moment, knowing what's happened to others. One of the pastors was with me in the car. Imagine in that time when militiamen go around the car, and they had very well trained eyes to know that you have something in the car. It's amazing that it's kind of something, somebody put a hand upon his eyes, that he just made a sign, go. For me, it was again protection from God, how you saw that you can continue now. So I brought the Christian literature in my house, Bibles, whatever you have.
And then how do you get them out of your house quickly, or how can you keep them
Oh
in your
yeah,
house?
that's you'll not keep that in that time many in Romania. It's amazing because all of this threat that you know that many people, I don't know how many, they smuggle Bibles. Imagine that many families now, they have Bibles in the home, and you pay such a huge price to smuggle, to bring Bibles to your house. So what you needed to do is immediately to spread the Christian literature, to give to others. And so people came to your house, or you went to another places and you brought the Christian literature. And if I visited families, patient houses, I saw many times when they were so sick, I saw Christian literature from America. For example, many written by Petru Popovich, who was in California. He printed Christian literature and shipped to Romania. It was risk for everyone, but you're so happy to see on pillow or near pillow, even in the hospital, to see this Christian literature that you knew that somebody can pay a huge price for that. So you are happy that somehow the Bible's Christian literature were in the hands of needy people who looking for Word of God or looking to read that time.
And you said you also preached the gospel as a college graduate. What was that like, and what did that mean to you and to the authorities?
In that time, I was called, including from president of hospital, to warn me that there are lots of people wrote that you preach at funeral, you preach in that place or in that place. But I was so amazed what president said. As long as I am a president of hospital, go ahead with this. Publicly, he went very strong against me. Behind the doors, I saw in Cluj City, in medical school, I saw here in Beiuș, people rather encouraged, well, they were encouraged to continue, to look at others, and amazing that people came to church and they became believers. Some of the doctors, they went in different cities. They were kind of cautious to come in my town. But I was very encouraged how God was working.
Did you say you had a reporter that followed you and confronted you at one point?
What's happened when I came to the church here, actually, it was a group of evangelicals came to Beiuș, and they didn't have a church. They didn't have a building. It was very hard, difficult to get a license to function as a church. So when I came here, I was urged by other pastor to become the leader of the church in Beiuș. As long as you don't have a license, that is a illegal church. You cannot go ahead to function. You don't have the building. You don't have license. So we were in conflict with authorities. They tried to do all they could to threat you, to make pressure upon you, and they came visit your house under pretext or another to see if you have Christian. They knew something. It was not. You have all these activities, but if you look at smuggled Bibles, Christian camps, or whatever, it was amazing how God was working in different ways that you never saw that you will have another open door to spread the word.
Give me an example. You said there was a raid on your house or your parents' house?
Oh, yeah. They came for my mother-in-law, for example. They say somebody stole from furniture factory, which is across of our house. They try to humiliate you in any ways was possible. So they came for that, looking, searching, came here. Then they said, okay, somebody stole from bread factory where my father-in-law was working. They were looking for something here. They make pressure upon people who work with you in many ways. And some of the doctors said, look, they called me and they asked me how to, they said we need to isolate this man.
They couldn't be friends with you anymore?
Yeah, yes. In fact, in many cases, it was vice versa. They became very strong friends with me. That encourage you and again give you, look, even them who said publicly something against you, they are certainly looking for what the God, they looking for answers.
So what happened when they raided the house? Did they find anything, or what were they looking for?
They brought, for example, my mother-in-law in court. They sentenced her, I don't remember exactly, 6 months or something like that in prison. There was probation time or something like that. And somebody called you and said, do you want all the members of the family to go on this road? Do you know what happened to other? So they came, for example, my parents' house in my village where I was born, in Zaran. Also came, said, looking for something. My mother was, one of my brother was called by militiaman, and after that militiaman came to our house. And this time my mother was hiding all the booklets, all the Christian booklets, like for example from Richard Borbrand or Petru Popovich. So she was hiding all the books, and from my house to mayor office to militiaman office was not far. You can see on the window. So my mother said, it's absolutely amazing that I was trying, you know, it was an incredible experience for whole family. But they try to take all the members of the family in one way or another.
And this was just to put pressure on you?
To put pressure on me or other brothers, because I was preaching. Other brothers were doing same thing, and this was, they took this very serious.
You said somebody came to you and at one point and told you that they need to report on you to the police. Who was that, and why did they do that?
Yes, so I came in Bayush town, and then one day, one of the member of the church said, they called me Pedro. Pedro, I need to tell you something. I need to report everything you're saying in the church. So you need to be very careful. This is, and he told me why this happened. And you knew, I mean, I knew from medical school that there are so many informants. You knew when they gave details about this, you knew that people, they are watching you, informants, and that was, you knew that. It was not, I was so shocked, I was so surprised. I knew that if I go to hospital among my colleagues, I knew that some will give information about, look, if we say anything about faith, but exactly vice versa happened. People became interested in your faith and what you believe. And why is that?
Was this person forced to be an informant, or do you know?
Yes, that's, most of people, they had been forced to do that.
How?
They said, okay, you, for example, when they came to our house, they said, okay, now you go to prison, or from now on you, so some people said, better I will go to prison or something like that, like my mother-in-law, then gave her probation or something like that, and you pay the price. And you knew why is that. You knew, okay, some people say, but stop preaching, stop. You made people, all these authorities angry, because when they report, they said, how is possible that in your town somebody is preaching the gospel? What you as an authority have done to stop this? Because some people saw that in 3 generations will be no more Bibles and churches or something like that. Some fanatics, communist fanatics, they really try to destroy what you believe. How, what method, what they use. So a town like this, where not far from Beirut, you had Traian Doors, a man who spent 17 years. I can say, in comparison with all of this, Richard Furban, Traian Doors, other people in Romania who really had been, I mean, they was kind of, some people told them, you will never get out of prison. You will die and you will rot in prison. And this happened with many leaders in Romania, from, I mean, political leaders, like Lucaciu or others. So this, you need to take very seriously about this.
These threats. Feel free to take a drink if you like. So how did your church? You said your church was locked and then unlocked. Could you tell us about that?
So when they found out that it was several families, among them my parents-in-law, who they sacrificed a lot. They put together money for families, or 5 families, I don't remember exactly. They bought a house, which in that time was real hard to do this. So they bought the building, and the building was on the name of somebody from the church until you got the license. So that's how started in many places in Romania. First, a group of small members from the church, they sacrificed a lot. They bought buildings like that in different towns, and they started a church. Sure, that made people, authorities, very angry about this, and they tried to do everything to stop you.
And who came to lock the church, or what happened there?
It was from Department of Religion. You have a Department of Religion in Romania, and they sent the people here in Beirut. Then they came with papers from court here in Beirut, and from mayor office. They put a seal on the door of the church, and if you break the seal, that you go to jail. So they put a seal. For a while, the church had 2 doors. They put a seal on one door. Another door was, so we used the other door in the courtyard, and will continue to go on the shore. That was very dangerous. But we continued to go in that way, and that was 1983. 1983, when they put a seal on the door of our church. Also, they destroyed the building of the church in Petrogroda, which is next town. They came with a group of people, and they destroyed the building. Also, they had not far from here a Christian camp that was also dismantled in that time.
Which camp was that?
The Târcăița camp. So it was incredible experience that in a small area you saw several institutions, that you saw how the communists, they started very angry here and see what's happened in this area. And now you had this great poet of Romania, Traian Doors. He was in prison again. And this is the real threat against Christians.
So tell me a bit about your job. What kind of doctor and where did you practice? How many years did you practice?
So I graduated in 1978. I came, then I worked as a resident here for 3 years, so 9 years. I was in medical school plus resident. After that, I worked around this area here. That was as a physician here.
Is it in pediatrics or?
And you work for adults and also for children.
Tell me a bit about what do you know about the orphans and the abandoned children in Romania? Did you have any experience?
Yeah, I spent 6 months as a resident at pediatrics here, at hospital here. So you have some rooms packed with abandoned children cribs. They spent they were several days old or something like that, and till age 3 they were on cribs here in the hospital.
And why were there abandoned children, or how many, and what happened?
They have many abandoned children. Actually, only after revolution I saw images on NBC or ABC. When they show images from Romania orphanages, I was very shocked because we had hundreds of children in orphanage, state orphanage here in Beirut, and I didn't know anything about them. So that was communism walls. You didn't know too much about other institutions, despite the fact that I was physician in this area.
Okay. So tell me about what happened in the 80s that you wanted to leave to go to America?
Yes. When my son had an eye problem, myopia, he needed contact lens, and one of the physicians from Romania said, we don't have contact lens here, we recommend a treatment outside of Romania. And one of the American physicians sent me an invitation to go to America. And for about probably 3 years, I struggled. I request to allow me, authorities to allow me to go to States with my son.
So what is the requesting? Do you write a paper? Do you take your passport? Do you have a passport? Do you have a visa? What do you need in order? How do you make a request in Romania at that time?
No, I didn't have a passport at that time. The passport, they provided a passport before I went to States. So that was kind of struggling for years. It was a very difficult decision in the hospital to allow me to go. The lady, I know how they voted. The lady said, we are mothers. When I look at his case, let's allow him to go. And all the men said that we would not vote for him to go.
Who voted for what?
To allow you to go to States. What? He was I said, okay, he needs to go in States. He had the invitation. He will go with his son for the eye problem, and we need to allow him. That's kind of leaders in the hospital. Only if where you work, they allow you to go, then is a permission.
So was it because of the job, or was it a communist approval, or what?
Well, that time it was very difficult to leave Romania. In this way, if what happened in that period of time, a lot of people in that time tried to escape from Romania, 1980s. that you saw the more people that you saw that how is possible that they tried to escape from Romania? They had a job, they had a good position or something like that, and yet how is possible that nobody from us knew that? So the communists didn't allow people to leave Romania. I had some relatives. They tried to escape. They caught them at the border. They beat them severely. And to give an example, one of the cousin was bounded by a pillar in the middle of the village, and another guy was with him. An entire village to be witnessed, to look at them and say, if somebody will try to escape, look what's happened with them. This is not, it was a very tough situation. People risk their own life. And this is that many communists tried to escape from Romania. Really. Mm-hmm. And that's, put Romania in a very tough position. On one hand, you talk about the paradise of communism in the country and how communism will prevail in the whole world. You talk about how great it is here, and people to see that they risk their own life to leave Romania.
What else proved, I guess, that communism was not the paradise that they said it was?
So in 1980s, this is not a secret, to see long line of people, special from villages, to wait for bread. Romania was called bread basket of Europe. People, long line to wait for bread. After a long time in line, somebody to say there is no more bread. Imagine for people who came from villages to go back on their own villages. They work very hard for on the fields to have a bread, and you don't have. Waiting in long line for meat. In Romania is the wait for sugar, for oil, for gas. For gas, you wait 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. This was not, everybody saw this.
And why was there all these shortages, and for how many years?
Well, 1980s was very tough, beginning of the 1980s. Imagine 6 o'clock p.m. or something like that. You knew that there will be no more power, no more light in your house. And you have little children, you have entire family, and then heating, then all kind of problems, food. Then you listen to radio like Free Europe or like Voice of America, and you went in your house, you lock the gate, and you listen, and you find that look what's happened with other Romanians. You find the real life. This was communism, a paradise here in Romania, where you stay for a long line for bread. You stay in long line for this, and you say, now what will be the future for your children? If this happened with me, with us, what will be in the future? So what happened with them? They had in mind one thing: how to escape from Romania, not for myself, how to bring my children on the other side.
Did you experience a lot of these bread lines, gas, all these things yourself?
In the family, like like you have my mother-in-law stood in line for every day, or some neighbors you help. I waited in line, but not like them. So one member of the family, and you ask one of the neighbors, can you watch for my bottle for milk? Was a long line of bottle. Then from there you went to meet, and for hours you just went from place to place.
You said your mother-in-law and your family, they had lots of land growing up before communism. They had to give up all their land. Did she ever talk about how much land they had versus how they have to wait for food now?
My grandparents from mother side, yeah. Mm-hmm. They had, my grandmother suffered a lot. They arrested her, put her in jail. So all this intimidation. My grandmother was kind of frail, kind of skinny. She has 6 children. She was a widow, and now working very hard. Imagine all of this, and they arrested her. There was a lot of intimidation. Put your land in the collective farm. So that's kind of thing that happened to her.
This was right when they collectivized. They put her in jail to intimidate her because she wouldn't sign.
It was before collectivization. For years before that, they try to intimidate you in many ways, and you will give up to your land in one way or another.
So for you, though, going to America was not about poverty or about breadlines, but it was about your son, and you couldn't get the medicine or the
contact lens
here.
No, yeah.
Why is that? They were not. You couldn't import them. You couldn't buy them. You couldn't.
Not in that time.
Okay. And so then you said you appealed for 3 years, and you asked for 3 years, and then what? How did they finally let you go?
Finally, they voted after years, and they allow me to go. But only me and my son. My wife and my daughter, she was 5 years old, they were left behind.
So you left to the United States, and where did you go in the United States?
I went to Chicago. I had some relatives who went there before me. Yeah.
And so, how did you find treatment for your son? How did that work?
Yes. I was to a Romanian church and was a preacher, an evangelist, American preacher, that evening. And after the sermon, I talked with him, and he said, I know in Wheaton, an eye doctor, a Christian doctor who will actually, what's happened, we found the eye doctor, but with a lot of money to pay for this treatment. So suddenly, a doctor was open, to treat my son for free through a Christian.
And so how long did you stay in America without your wife and daughter?
It was very tough situation, very hard, and I saw how my son will react now without his mother. And he was doing very well, incredible well. And in Romania, we had a kind of Christian camp in the mountains, Transylvania mountains, where we had some foreigners that trained in the Christian camp. That's all kind of Bible study. And when I went to United States, I contacted some of them, and they are not from Illinois state, from Chicago area, and from other states. And it was amazing that one church state, they brought somebody from Vietnam, then I think somebody from North Korea, and now they are praying for somebody from Eastern Bloc. When I contact people who train us in Christian camp, they try to connect me with a church in America. I didn't know about this church, but somehow they connected. They didn't know each other. I mean, people from this church with people who came to Christian camp. It was like another miracle. From this church, they are praying. They heard about me. They contacted me, and they brought me and my son in their area, a very beautiful church. And from here started everything. They started to bring my wife and my daughter to United States.
Did you apply for political asylum at that point?
Not right away. I waiting and waiting. I didn't want to. I wanted to come back. After doctor said, but this is a long term. I mean, the treatment will not be in 1 month or 2 months. Then it was kind of amazing how all the things, some doors were closed and some doors were open. And when the people from the church said, was a lot of pressure from, how to say, not pressure, advice from Romanians. If you go back now, when you go back, they investigate you. What meeting do you have? Where? That's kind of normal. And he said, but now you are here with your son. So I asked to stay in the United States. My wife knew that I will go back. And all of this situation, many things happened in this period of time. And I knew that it's very difficult to bring my family there. I requested that. My wife requested that. Once you ask to stay in the United States, that was also not easy. So when I asked for that, the church was very strong behind me. They asked me how to, at some point, Romania lost most favored nation status. It's very, very difficult now to, what to do now. And absolutely amazing is when a group of people from the church contact Rosalind Carter, and Jimmy Carter's wife, First Lady of America for a while. And she wrote a letter to Nicolae Ceausescu to allow my wife and my daughter to come to the United States. That was in July 1988. In December, middle of December, she already came to the United States. But she didn't know about what's happened behind the door. A few years ago, I asked to see my file, and I saw that lots of paper will be shown to me. In fact, they show me what the prominent member of Communist Party wrote to passport here in Oradea. Said a letter was received from First Lady, from Rosalind Carter, that was addressed to General Secretary Nicolae Ceausescu to allow the family, and they gave the name. And it's incredible that this happened.
So you saw the police communication between Bucharest and passports here in Beiuș to give the permission to your wife?
But no, the passport was in Oradea.
Oh, so you never saw the letter from Rosalind Carter, but you saw it in the files?
Oh, yes.
And did they? You said your wife, you wanted to come back. She wanted you to come back. I guess at some point you decided to stay. Did they try to dissuade you, the church or your wife here? Did they try to say, don't go, or maybe you shouldn't go?
Oh, yeah. Lots of intimidation. At some point, they told the passport, but your husband asked for divorce in the United States, or say, you will not come here until we call you.
That's what they told your wife?
Yeah, yes. And you know, at that time, many conversation was interrupted by here in Romania. You talk several words, and already you lost contact with the family.
You mean over the telephone?
Yeah.
Because they would.
Yeah.
So you talk to her regularly when?
Yes.
Okay, and so did you tell her that you didn't want to divorce her, or how did that?
Sure. I mean, it was no.
So the whole divorce thing was a complete.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they try I mean, who knew very well what's happened during communism? This was not unusual.
Okay. All right. So tell me a bit more about Gordon. Where did you meet Gordon, and how did that?
Great men like Gordon Melling is the founder of our organization, Romanian Evangelistic Medical Mission. Founded America we started in 1991. Immediately after revolution, January 1990, I came back here in Romania, and lots of people, friends, patients, they asked me to come back. And I tried to recruit many doctors from America to help the hospitals here in Cluj and Oradea, Bucharest, to help all the orphanages here. And it was one day in I think it was in March 91. So it was 1 year after I started to bring doctors from here, from the United States to Romania. Already I worked for more than 1 year. And then one day I got a call. And it was Gordon Melling, a great man. He called me and said, Peter, I want to talk with you. Can we meet at a restaurant, a full moon restaurant? I want to talk with you about a real great thing. And he gave me the address, everything. So it was full moon restaurant on Highway 41. I remember very well. So there he told me, look, I don't know what is your intention. I know about your mission that you try to bring doctors to do this. Tell me about what you. So I told him, look, what we try to do is to help orphanages. There are all these great programs, projects, but it's very important. What is your vision? Because of what you told me about all of these programs or projects, they are like wagons, but what is the engine? That's how you can say that in several sentences or 2 sentences. And he said, look, I had in my house, he was a rich man, a great man, a strong Christian. And he said, in my house, I have a room that is called upper room. Every Tuesday they had a group of people before they went to work. businessmen, great people from that area. Said every Tuesday, I think at 7 o'clock, and before they went to work, we are praying. And he said, then one Tuesday, Gordon said, I was waiting for others. But also in my mind, it was a sermon that he heard at his church. And the pastor was talking about that voice that was heard by a child, by Samuel, when he was in the temple. And the voice, we remember that passage, that Samuel, and Samuel saw that he is called by the priest. So he was running to the priest, said, you called me. And the priest said, I didn't call you, go back and sleep. He can, second time, because he heard second time the voice. After second time, the priest was thinking, well, that means that God is calling the child to the mission. So we remember the passage, the priest said, if it's calling again, is God. And we remember how Samuel answered to God, here I am. I'm listening. Your servant is listening. Speak to me, Lord. Speak to me, Lord. So Gordon was waiting in a room, listening to this sermon. That sermon was in his mind. And waiting for people to come to pray. Because nobody showed up. He was praying to God, and God speak to him. And suddenly he said it was like a picture that came. He knew me, but vague, was never involved in the mission. And suddenly he said, call Peter, call Peter, call Peter. Imagine that. So he called me. Peter, I want to talk with you. Everything started from here. For Gordon to be in upper room, waiting from the Lord, and say, he was your image. He was not you heard verbally. Call Peter, call Peter. So he called me. Everything started from upper room, from a prayer group, from people who, and the fact that nobody showed up, and it was a Peter image that showed up. So he called me, and from here started the mission.
What was your vision for the mission, and what made you leave the United States and come back to Romania?
One was my grandfather. I told my wife, I told others. My grandfather came from Siberia and brought word of God to my family. And he was poor. He had patchy clothes. He was in very eager the word. We remember from history that from prisoners in Siberia, only 1/3 survived. Every day they had people dying there, and all kind of disease. And prisoner had their mind only how I get home, how can I come back. So I told my wife, I said, now for me, after revolution happened, after I heard so many, okay, come back to Romania, I said, for my grandfather to come with the Bible, Russian Bible, from prisoner camp to my village. And he was poor, and he succeeded. and he brought the word of God in the family. And now I'm in the United States. To be a medical doctor in the United States, it's amazing. But at this time, after revolution, when there are incredible needs in the hospital, orphanages, churches everywhere, and so for me to stay now in the United States, not go back, because everywhere you went, you saw the incredible needs among people. So I came back. I brought doctors, and some of the doctors said, "Well, I would like to come as a missionary doctor in Romania." That put you in. I said, your grandfather came from Siberia with a huge prize. Other doctors from America came. In what is my place? What is so? When Gordon called and said, "What is your vision?" Is how you bring to Romania on one hand the gospel, and another hand the medicine.
You also mentioned David Livingstone. When did you hear that story, and how did that factor in your thinking?
My grandmother had a lot of booklets, Christian booklets, and before communists came in power. And, she had all these booklets, and I started to read them. And one of them was about David Livingstone, how he went to Africa, how he served as medical doctor, as missionary doctor, how tough was that period of time. I mean, slavery, a lot of people from Africa brought to slavery. How strong David Livingstone was against slavery and tried to bring the gospel and medicine to people in Africa. And people in Africa, many loved him. And when he died, he was praying. He died literally on his knees. And when people from Great Britain came to pick up his body, some close friends of David Livingstone from Africa said, you can take the body of David Livingstone, but his heart was beating for us. And his heart is buried there in Africa. And, Gordon asked me when he will die if I will speak at funeral, and I was so shocked. I refused to talk about this subject. And Gordon, why are you talking about this? And I saw a heart, Gordon's heart. I saw other people's heart that was beating for Romania, and say, okay, my grandfather came from Siberia. Everybody had a heart for it.
So really quickly, tell me, what is the last 30 years been since the revolution? What did you do?
So yeah, there are 33 years when we started with medical doctors, Christian doctors. When I saw how much they love our people, some of them came every year since that time. I saw their zeal, their faith, and I saw some of the doctors, they start with their own teams to go in Africa, South America, and said, Peter, do you know that this dream to go in the whole world with medical doctors, Christian doctors, to share love of God to everyone, was started in the York Clinic in Beirut. And that gave you courage. In 30 years, you saw so many that started a mission when the dream was born right here in Beirut.
So people would come over to be medical missionaries, and then they would...
Yes, it was like a snowball, growing and growing, and you saw what connection is between Romania and including in America, because even in America they try to treat people in some area, poor area. So, but it was a dream that was born here. I got many messages from other, even from um, college students or from university in America, said, Peter, great news. When I visited Romania, when the dream was born there, and now I am a businessman in Asia and I spread the word of God. I am a businessman in countries that you never saw that they will accept, for you to share the gospel. But as a businessman, as a doctor, as a teacher, to teach in English, amazing how God was working.
So you said you had orphanage, farm, medical. Tell me quickly.
So first, in 1990, I tried to help here. The doctors brought an ultrasound machine, or one of the first probably in Romania. They taught here in Cluj, in Oradea, Arad, Bucharest. They brought with them, for example, a lot of equipment, medicine, which was such a great need in that time. And as I said, it was like a snowball. Okay, what is the need in Romania? Well, you have abandoned children. Some of the doctors, they adopted children from here, from Beiușerea. Well, not some of the doctors. In my family, my daughter, one of the daughters, and my son adopted the last 3 girls from our orphanage. We started an orphanage here, and right now they have other programs with children with disabilities in the same place where we had the building for orphanage. You had teams from America trying to build all these bridges with public school or hospitals here, or churches, or villages. And it's a great, for 33 years, you're doing this.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Let me ask you a couple of kind of closing questions. What lessons stand in your mind from what you've gone through in communism? What lessons do you think are worth telling forward?
For me was unbelievable, was beyond imagination. 1989, year 1989. Tremendous, unbelievable changes. Know that Communist Party collapsed in Poland. First was in Poland, then in country like Czechoslovakia, became Czech Republic and Slovakia, then Hungary or other countries. Then you heard about Berlin Wall. You saw mighty Soviet Union empire dismantled. Was beyond imagination. You never saw that this will happen in your life. So this was absolutely incredible events all this year, and the end of year, December 1989, the revolution started in Romania. Was only bloody revolution for my Eastern Bloc. What lesson we learned from here? It's unbelievable message for people in West, in America. Learn what was communism for 45 years. In Timișoara, to see a huge crowd falling on their knees, God exists, or starting with Lord's Prayer in December. What lesson is this? Is a lesson that we should pay attention to this, that on one hand, the communism brought these people who maybe one part of their life, they said it's better to be red than dead, to that level when many people said it's better to be dead than red. That was a revolution in Romania. And said, okay, what lesson we can learn from here? Even former communists, many of them, they hate communism. Now many people look back and say, well, maybe we should review this, look at this. When you look at all of this happen with such a huge price, huge, enormous price, and this happened right in front of our eyes. It's incredible. It was like a domino game. Everything fall apart. And now, what is the lesson? Well, we learned that people shouted, God exists, starting with Lord's Prayer. And Daniel said, God changes times and circumstances. He lifted up kings and he deposed them. And that's happened before our eyes.
You said that the media was so wrong, even the Western media. Can you tell me what you meant by that? What the media being so wrong about socialism, communism?
Sure, you have a mass media in Romania that paved the way for communism. The strong voice was through mass media. In United States, I didn't see when you talk about huge crowd in Timișoara, they said God exists, Lord's Prayer. You didn't see too many newspapers that related or they talk about this. And the fact that people from Holland came to United States and they said, okay, you are the hero of revolution, you are a hero that because of you, communism collapsed. This yes. He said, no, don't look at me. Look at God. Only God has done this. Now you have several leaders from former communist country came to United States. Same answer. Don't look at us. Look at how God has done mighty things.
So you think, and the media didn't report that, or?
Media didn't report or very poorly reported that. That's made, made you very disappointed because people pay a huge price here. And to not look at 45 years of atheism, of communism, and people to come together and to ask for God's help, and suddenly everything changed, and God helped them. And I think this should be reported. We should pay attention to this.
Tell me about the media in Romania. You said about the newspaper, and you were reading about the harvest, and then the harvest is still not picked up.
Well, when you read the newspaper in Romania, it was used to what they wrote and glorify the party and look how great the harvest is. People waiting in line for bread and people waiting in line for meat and so on. And many times you travel by train or other and you look at the fields. The newspaper said the harvest is over, very good harvest, very good crop, and you look at they didn't even started the harvest. And you talk with other people who look at was newspaper, and then many people said, you know that.
Did you experience this yourself when you read the paper?
Yes.
You said something about skipping to the end because it was all propaganda. How did you read the paper, knowing that?
So you read in the newspaper. You look only to the last page. There was a small news article there. What's news in the world, That was how you read the newspaper. Comrade, this, the speech, this, you forget about all the pages, and so that's kind of.
I guess one question here, you said something about all men were guilty. Tell me about this gospel of communism that's very similar to the Christian gospel.
I think communism was like a religion that you need to worship. And when they started to look at the religion like poison for the people, darkness, they were the religion, and they didn't allow any other gods. We learn about from the Bible, there is no another God. So the communist leader, they look at that like all people need to worship somehow, and they are the light, so they will prevail. In Romania, that's kind of, everybody will have a job, everybody will have scholarship. They will provide healthcare for everyone. It will be everything great.
And did they treat all men are innocent before proven guilty, or do they treat everybody as guilty?
You read about, especially about Soviet Union in the beginning. I said, okay, other people, they are not guilty. You arrested these people. They are not guilty yet, but they will be guilty.
How do they find the guilt?
After several investigation, always will sign the paper and say, I'm guilty for this, for this, for this.
Is there a difference between socialism and communism in your mind?
I think a lot of parties started with social. Think about Romania, that it was a socialist party before. Lenin started a socialist party. Stalin was a socialist party. After that became communist party. In Germany, Hitler was part of socialist party. Even in Italy, Mussolini was part of socialist party. I think we need to look back at all the beginnings and to see, okay, how they started and where they went.
I appreciate that. So I guess one last question. Why is it important for you to tell your story?
As I said, you saw unbelievable changes in 1989, but with a huge price. If I look at Romania in 1990, people were so eager now that we have freedom to go ahead. But mentality from communism, you not look at all the former communist country, how hard they recover after communism collapse. Because that mentality, in Romania, you had great people, you had very hard working people. That mentality, they pretend to me, they pay to me, and I pretend they work for them. That mentality from communism still prevail after collapse of communism. I was thinking about many people who went in the other countries, in Germany and United States, how they change mentality. They work very, very hard from beginning. I saw many Romanians in the United States. They work hard and they have great results. And you think the communist mentality was kind of very difficult to get rid of that mentality. Even people, they said they hate communism, but these remnants of communism for a while continue, and it's not easy as we think that once the well, let's try communism and we'll see what will happen. It's not easy to get out of communism. You had a revolution, but mentality can be there and is very difficult to change. Not easy. Despite the fact that people in Romania, they were really eager to go on the road of freedom. And because of that mentality, I say, you have now several millions young people, Romanians, strong, hardworking people. They left Romania because they didn't see the hope for their children that they will have here in Romania a safe job. So they are working all over Europe. You have 1 million Romanians, or over 1 million in Italy, over 1 million probably in Spain or other countries. And they work very hard, send their money. But imagine that Romanian villages, lots of elderly in Romanian villages left behind. And they are children, they are working in Germany. And imagine if that mentality was, to have freedom, total freedom here in Romania. I see in Romania we had a lot of freedom. I cannot imagine now in comparison with communism. But if we will change our mentality and imagine all of this, separation between, I go in a lot of Romanian villages. It's some areas you look at like ghost towns. Elderly people waiting and waiting for their children to come back to Romania, and you look in vain. If Romania will, I think we had tremendous changes here, but also it was difficult after revolution. We have difficult time here, and everyone, I think everyone was eager to experience freedom. What lesson we learned from it is difficult to recover after communism. It's very difficult time, despite the fact that most of Romanians immediately after revolution wanted to stay in Romania, yet we have millions that left. So the lesson is in the West, or look at Romania. So many left Romania and from, other countries. And so what lesson we learn? Don't go back to communism.
Let me ask you another question. I just thought of this. Since you lived in America and you lived here, maybe you didn't go to America for the American dream. Maybe you went for the medical reasons, but you as an immigrant and a returnee, how would you define the American dream? What is the American dream? Because everybody keeps talking about it.
Yes, I love how many Americans came with open arms. Imagine that an orphanage was built here with many American teams that came here. Imagine that they helped to build hospitals, to equip churches, to build churches, and everywhere. So I saw part of America who's eager to do great things in the world. Imagine that all these Americans, most of them, have no connection with their grandparents or not here in Romania. And just to come here in Romania and to love Romanian abandoned children, Romanian elderly people, so to come with open arms and to have that vision in mind, really I learned a lot from America. there are many things that I don't like to see from America coming here, but I think we have some great people in America. Even I saw young Romanians that came with American teams. Was a great inspiration to come here, to go in university, colleges here, and hospitals. I can say even politicians from here came to Washington many times. I saw the bridge. So America had great things, but also there is something, red flags there that we need to be aware. And to say, I have grandchildren in the United States. I saw many parents from here, they sacrifice a lot to be in America. And they dream when they said, why did you leave Romania? It's not for myself. It's not, I'm thinking about future for my children or for my children, grandchildren. And you say, wait a second. If we need to testify, if we need to be witness, that you came from communism, you need to present all of this testimony to many in America, and to say many Americans have done great things in Romania. Let's not allow, you know what we had in Romania, communism, to go and have another experience. It's very hard to get rid of that mentality.
Well, thank you, Peter. I really appreciate your time. God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you.